Hey guys, how are you doing? It's Nikki from Ranger Hill Honey Farm, and we're back today for part 2 of Easy Blueberry Wine. Now during part 1, if you haven't seen it yet, you can just click up here and I'll put a link to the part 1, but this is part 2 of that. During part 1, what we did is we did our primary fermentation, and now what we're going to do is we're going to move the fruit blueberries out of the bucket, and we're going to take it out of the primary fermentation bucket and we're going to put it into our secondary fermentation, which is this glass jug right here. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So this is our primary fermentation bucket, and as you can see here, the primary fermentation has completed. So what happened in the last 7 to 9 days is all the yeast ate all of the sugar out of this, leaving only alcohol behind and juice. So what we're going to do now is we are going to get the wine off of the skins, and we are going to move it over into this jug here. So we're going to get started with that. So some of the things that you need, we talked about them during the last video, but you're going to need some type of a straining material. So it could be a bag, or it could be a cheesecloth or muslin or something of that nature, and that will help you strain the solids away from the liquids. Now, what I did before we started the video today is I made sure that I sanitized everything that we're using today. That's very, very important so that no bacteria or anything gets into your wine. So I used Star San, and I sanitized everything that's here so that we can have a nice clean wine when we're done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my bag into this 1 gallon pitcher, and I'm going to start straining off some of the solids, and I'm just going to put them into the bag. All right. There we go. Get that pushed down a little bit. Try to get that juice, extra wine out of these berries that are held in here. Now what I do is I have a little garbage bucket here, or compost bucket. I'm going to go ahead and move this over, give it a little squeeze. Move this over to the compost. I'm just gonna dump it out here. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump the rest of this through the strainer. All right. And I don't know if you could see it or not, but at the very bottom of the bucket there's a lot of sediment. I'm trying not to mix that sediment up too much out of it, because that's what they call lees, and that's the leftover waste from the yeast eating all the sugar. So I'm just gently pouring it off the lees, trying to leave as much behind as possible. Okay, it's going to take a little pizzazz here. So I'm just going to lift this up and let this strain off. This is really one of the easiest ways to get the solids away from the liquids. Okay. Give that a little bit of a squeeze. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour all of this wine. I'm going to pour it into my 1 gallon container jug. And I've already prepared my fermentation airlock here. And what I did is I just put a little water in it up to the line. There's a fill line on here, so when you get one, you could see that. You could put water, you could put vodka, or you could put a little Star San water in here if you want to. But basically, this is just going to keep debris out of your wine, or any type of bugs or anything like that. Sit this down. Okay, and move this over. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to funnel my wine into the bottle. So here we go. It smells so good. So really what we want it to do now in the secondary fermentation is we want it to clear. So what we're going to do is about once a month or so for a few months, we're going to rack it from one bottle to another. If you don't know about racking wine, I may do a video on that, but you're going to rack it from one bottle to the next and leave the lees, which I showed you in the other bucket, off on the bottom, and that's what helps clear your wine out. Like I said before, this is easy blueberry wine. It doesn't get much easier than this. No special equipment needed as far as you can see. A lot of this stuff is just basic stuff that I had in my kitchen. Now there's fancy stuff you could use. Siphoning tubes and hydrometers and other things, but I said easy, so we're making this easy. Okay, I'm going to try to get a little bit more liquid for this. So we want our liquid to be up to the neck of the bottle when we move it over. So there's a couple of things you can do. I still have more liquid in the bucket here, but if I didn't, you could make a mixture of simple sugar, which is 1 part sugar to 3 parts water. And then you could just put the simple sugar and fill it up to the line so that you can change the air gap from where it's at currently to the neck, and that'll keep it from spoiling or anything of that nature. So I'm just going to dump a little bit more because I want all the wine goodness. I wish we had, what do they call it, smell-o-vision, so you could smell this wine. It smells absolutely amazing. So pretty much get as much juice as I can, and then go through the same process. There we go. A little for tasting. Okay, now that I have my wine all transferred over into my secondary fermentation vessel, which is just my 1 gallon jug, I'm going to put the airlock on now. And that's it. Pretty much I'm going to move this to an area of my house that doesn't get disturbed, preferably someplace that's a little darker so that the light doesn't bother with it. And I'm going to let it sit for about 4 weeks, and then I'm going to rack it off into another bottle. After I do that a couple times, then I'm going to bottle it up, and then we have some delicious and easy blueberry wine. So thank you so much for stopping by and seeing us here again on Ranger Hill Honey Farm. If you like what you saw today, please like and subscribe to our channel, and we really appreciate you. So have a great day. Thanks. Bye.